Jennifer Dauer, the General Manager Vice President of Procter & Gamble's Beauty and Grooming New Business Creation Group. We hired Aviv. We brought him in to really step back and assess what our new business portfolio was all about, and to help us identify future opportunities that we could imagine as being even bigger and ideal for the company to pursue, and to really help to facilitate a very, very diverse group of highly talented, highly charged individuals to bring together the best of Procter and figure out how we could identify new opportunities for the future to delight consumers around the world. A tremendous amount was accomplished in the project. We were hard at work for about 7 weeks. And we, in the end, identified a very rich and robust portfolio, which we will take forward to the company. But we began at a very, very basic level, understanding what the opportunities were, what did the market landscape look like, what was the consumer demanding, and what were the trends in the future with regard to the consumer, and importantly, what were the technical assets that we had as a company and brand assets that we had as a company. And from there, we diverged very, very severely to over nearly 600 ideas. And Aviv guided us through that, facilitated us through that from a dynamic standpoint to ultimately enable us and help us to converge on the ultimate portfolio. The other thing that Aviv did was to help create an environment where we brought 26 very diverse individuals together, very different levels, functions, perspectives from a company perspective, and in a very, very short period of time helped us to move from 26 individuals to a very cohesive team, and then facilitated the development of sub-teams around that, all of whom which architected together this portfolio. I was reminded of the power of this company, in part because of the way that the session was orchestrated. So I think that was one insight. Another insight, which was very, very powerful, is we need to suspend our view of what functions do and really think about what individuals have the capability to contribute. We had designers leading, we had technologists designing, we had general managers PowerPointing. I mean, people were just doing whatever they needed to do, really coming together in a very small company kind of mindset, setting hierarchy aside, setting functions aside. And I think as a leader, how can I keep that in mind as we move forward and we bring these ideas more to fruition? So that would be a second thing. A third thing for me is the notion of fast cycle iterative learning. Within 24 to 48 hours, we've torn ideas down, built them back up, gotten some feedback, and just gone at it again, and really created an environment where we can work as a startup. The choice around displayed thinking. So everything that we did was out in the open, so that everybody could see the ideas and see what they were, build upon them in the moment, and enable the team that was working to progress them, number one. Number two, we removed a lot of the artifacts that drive how we work normally. No desks, no walls. There were, spaces that people could go to get respite if they needed. But we took a lot of those artifacts and those rituals out of the mix, and it led us to need to and have the opportunity to work differently. So I think that was the second thing. The third thing was, and I look at this as a positive, we took the intensity of time. It's almost like, the adage of a crisis is a horrible thing to waste. We all knew we had 7 weeks, and we spent the first couple of them diverging and learning and getting educated and engaging with consumers and retailers, which then meant we only had 5. And we had a very clear brief and a very clear mandate, and we all were in this together. We all got an oar, regardless of where we came from. We all got an oar. We were all kind of leveled in terms of being at the same level, and we decided we were going to move forward together. So I think there were several different things that enabled us to do 2 weeks of work in 24 hours. And the pride of being able to come in each morning and see what had progressed. It's almost like an incubating science experiment, right? You can see the chick hatching or whatever it is that's going on. These were things that were getting born, and we wanted to see them grow up within the time frame of the task force. In terms of Aviv's contribution, there were many. And they were different throughout the 7 weeks. One thing that I think Aviv did an excellent job at was being astute to how he could add maximum value, recognizing the journey and the pace and the movement of where was this project going and how was the task force coming together. And I think that that's not something you always see in a facilitator. Sometimes they'll come in and say, this is my plan, this is how I need to do it, this is what I've been hired to do, and so I'm going to stick to my plan regardless of where you guys go. He was astute and respectful in that manner so that he could figure out how to maximize his value back to us. Early on, while sometimes we didn't always want to do it, we began the mornings reflecting upon what had happened the day before, and we closed the day reflecting upon the learnings, both of which I thought were very, very powerful, and he kept us engaged and kept us true to task. So that was another excellent thing, because I think that that gave us time to reflect and learn, and also to get energy as we headed into the day or closed out the day. The third thing that he did that enabled the process is that he, in his own unique way, invested with every single person along the way to make sure that all 26 of us were engaged and able to contribute. You had varying voices, both volume-wise and comfort-wise, with being extroverted in the moment, technologists coming together with marketers, and he was very, very astute at enabling and creating an environment that the voices could be equally heard. That didn't mean that they were always equally loud or equally vociferous, but they were all equally heard. And without that, I don't think that this product would have been nearly what it was, and delivered what we hope will be an enduring and lasting gift to the company. I will leave with, many, many, many more than 26 new friends, and a network, an expanded network, well beyond anything that I could have gotten, even if I'd worked for another 5 or 10 years, in a matter of 7 weeks' time. And the ability to pick up the phone and ask a question. The person may or may not know the answer to the question, but I'm sure that I'll get there really quickly. I said this morning it's a lot like Kevin Bacon.
Yep.
We just don't need 6 degrees of separation. We're probably 1, maybe 2 away from each other. And so how do we continue to hold on to this network, but importantly, leverage that philosophy as an amplifier of what we have the potential to be. I've often said with Procter, if we could only figure out how to manage the knowledge of the company as a core capability, beyond or in addition to consumer understanding, et cetera, I think we would be unstoppable, or even more unstoppable than